Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Hattie. I'm a set designer, and put it on the first slide. I make props and models that usually end up as images for magazines and adverts. Two examples here, Guardian and TfL. I'm going to talk to you tonight about one project in particular, but I thought I'd better give you a quick background of me and my work. That isn't me, but that's kind of what I was. I started to make things as soon as I discovered Lego, and as a 7-year-old, I thought Anthea Turner just had the best job in the world, teaching the nation how to make Tracy Island of the Thunderbirds to the nation. And I thought, yeah, making things would be a cool job, and I'm lucky enough to be doing just that today. So I grew up in the countryside, and I used to make drawings like this. I used to fill sketchbooks full of towns and cities and maps, and I always wanted to live in a town, and I think that's kind of where my obsession of drawing and making towns comes from. Years later, I studied illustration and started making towns, and now I continue to make towns. I like towns, okay? So yeah, I've got a studio up the road, and I make other things as well, but for some reason, well, this subject just keeps following me. And yeah, so I set up my scenes in a photography studio, and I work with lots of different photographers to capture them. So they're essentially like 3D illustrations. I'm commissioned to kind of convey a message, whether it's like illustrating an editorial or you know, an advert for something, or advertising a product. So these are just some examples of those. And yeah, and sometimes I'm asked to make them move, which is fun, and I'm definitely doing more of that as kind of time goes by, and getting more into like stop motion animation. I'm repped by Blink Arts, so I'm surrounded by lots of directors of moving image, and yeah, it's fun to be working on more animation projects. As you can tell, I love paper as well as towns, and so a lot of my work is made from paper, but also if you look closely, there is some polystyrene and wood. These houses are actually made from wood. And, oh, this was a fun one for the Olympic Park. To kind of explain the space, I was asked to create a 3D map of the park, which is now used for the visitors. And here I am, setting it up in a photography studio with Anya, the photographer, up the ladder, trying to picture it. So yeah, so that's a quick background. And this is the project I want to be talking about. I was approached by Canon and their ad agency, or their agency, Imagination. Canon were hosting an exhibition in Paris to kind of celebrate all of their products. And they needed something in the room to, for people to like pick up the Canon cameras and photograph. So basically like a fun kind of shooting subject. So their brief to me in a nutshell was make an intricate, colorful paper city inspired by architecture from around the world. Basically the ultimate town. I thought this would be a fun job, and it was. So yeah, so I got started, but I mean, where do you start? It was quite tough just to edit down buildings that I wanted to make, and I didn't have that much time, so I couldn't kind of go around the world getting inspired. I had to just take a quick trip through Google. But the client also gave me some buildings that they wanted to feature, like the Eiffel Tower, because we were in, because it was going to happen in Paris. So the space they gave me was about 3 meters by 3 meters, which was a bit daunting to begin with. So in my studio, I just kind of mapped out the space and just put loads of boxes in it just to see how big all the buildings were going to be and how many I could fit in. And so that was a picture of that. But it was very helpful. It gave me an idea of what I wanted. And then I made this bird's eye view plan of everything I wanted to make and how big they were going to be. It was quite useful kind of during the process, so I could remind myself how many trees that actually were going to fill that, like each little space. And I made a schedule. I did some pretty terrible drawings. And I got some lovely assistants in to help me, two of which are there taking a picture. Stop. Sorry. Yeah, so I got started. I had like 3 weeks, and my studio became a hive of activity, like a factory of making things. And it was quite fun just trying to like simplify all the kind of detailed and intricate buildings that we'd chosen to make. Here's me making the Duomo of Florence. But I used the computer to help me make templates. So this was for the dome of that cathedral. I think I made like 4 different versions before I was happy with the shape. There's quite a lot of trial and error goes on when I'm making things. And some of the bigger skyscrapers actually have solid, kind of quite strong structures that I got laser cut in Perspex, and then we covered them in paper, which definitely speeds things up, but generally I like everything to be hand cut. I think kind of imperfections and things like that just add some personality to everything, and I enjoy working with assistants more than I do machines. So, and here's me making the Bristol Suspension Bridge, which is quite sentimental to me because I studied in Bristol. I'm sure Brunel would be flattered that I chose his. Probably not. Anyway, so yeah, after a few weeks, we had to pack it all up. That probably took about a day, and sent it over to Paris in a van. Luckily, it all survived, and it was waiting for me when I got there. And I was given this space, a specially built plinth, to put the city on. Made friends with the builders who were setting up the exhibition. You know, kindred spirits. They were building. I was building. Although they kept stealing our ladder, which was a bit annoying. But yeah, it was really fun, and here I am setting up some of the finished buildings and doing the finishing touches. And a picture of me at 2 in the morning, of it finished. Yeah, the builders were long gone by that point, but you know, I had to get it perfect. Yeah, so the next day, suddenly the exhibition hall was full of people photographing the city from every angle, a bit like some kind of celebrity. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but seemed to be a success. And yeah, so my 3 meters by 3 meter space didn't feel quite so big when I took a step back. It's quite small actually, but but it went well. So after the exhibition, I brought all the models back to London, and I really wanted to just document them. So I got my friend Sun Lee, who's a brilliant photographer, to help me capture them in some lovely images. And I'm going to show you a few of my faves. Top of the pops. Some colourful houses of Brazil. That's the Bank of China in Hong Kong. A Malaysian Bugis house. An American farmhouse, and Japanese and Turkish temples. And there's the Eiffel Tower, the Florence Duomo, and a street of houses from Amsterdam. An Aztec temple and the Chrysler building. Oh yeah, I thought it would be fun to add some more textures to the image, so I brought in some dry ice and made some clouds and things. And some smoke for the log cabin. A Russian cathedral, a windmill, and here they all are together, one happy family. Yeah, so that was the end of a really fun project. But my next challenge was to find somewhere to put them all, because my studio is not very big and I don't have space to store them. So instead of getting rid of them, they are actually on sale now in my shop on my website. You can buy the original models and prints from that series. And it's all in aid of the charity War Child. And that's the end of my talk. Thank you very much for listening.